right, I'm going to go ahead and call this meeting to order. Now is the time for any concerned citizen to speak to the council on an item that is not on the agenda. Don?
Thank you. Since we last met on the animal facility, I've been busy talking with a number of people to try to figure this thing out, to try to find an end game to it. I contacted Wade Weiss with the county, asking to look over the plans, the dirt work, the structure work, so forth, to see if there's anything that he could see that I need to change to get the bid lower or to make costs work out to get those things accomplished. Kind of the bottom line for him is that he has the equipment to redo the dirt on the site, but he doesn't think that he wants the liability of doing that, because if something went wrong, they would blame him for whoever built the building would blame him for not doing something correctly if some foundation was cracking or whatever the case may be. So he just didn't feel comfortable doing that for us. He was willing to help out in any other way, as far as maybe down the road, if the animal park needed some dirt or something hauled, he'd be happy maybe to do that for us, just as those type of things, those in-kind things that he could do at that point for us. But I actually contacted the people who won the bid to find out what some of the things were that were cost. They had $77,000 built into the redoing of the dirt to make sure it was packed and done correctly. That includes taking off the dirt, putting dirt back, packing it back, and raising it 2 feet above where it is is now, to meet all the specifications. They had $38,000 in their bid for hooking up the water in the sewer, and that was one part of it. So we got, between the dirt work and the water hookup and sewer hookup, there's $115,000 worth just between those two things right there. In addition, I've reached out to some plumbers and electricians in our area here to find out if there's anything I can do to make sure that the furnace and HVAC equipment could be cut in any way, shape, or form. And the only real thing that we might be able to do, and we're going to investigate that, the architects are going to investigate that, is to move the furnace more to the center of the building. That might help with some of the costs for the trunking and so forth that has to be done. But most of that's controlled by code. And so there's not much they can do about it. It has to put out so much volume of air for the size that we have there. And I talked to the architects about taking out the storage part up above that we had, where we were putting the furnaces and putting the furnaces down the first floor. So that might be a possibility to cut some things down. And the only other thing I can think of, which we are going to investigate, is to actually cut and make the building even smaller than what it was. So that's a couple possibilities. Do I think it's going to make a major difference in the bid? After talking with everybody, the answer, unfortunately, is no. I don't know what else to do at this point. Probably the road that I'm going to take would be to do any major cut I can with the architects, see if I can cut down the size, cut down, move anything that needs to be moved, take away things, take away the overhang in the front of the door, take away the overhang over the dog kennels outside, remove the upper half story where we were going to put the furnaces and storage, and take that storage away and take the furnaces and put them down on the first floor, take the quiet room away, put the furnaces in the quiet room. We'll do everything possible that we can to shrink the building as much as we can, and then rebid it. When I talked to the plumbers and the construction people, they informed me that if you build a house today compared to exactly 1 year ago, it's 70% more today. 70%, not 7%, 70%. The cost of materials in the last 12 months has just absolutely skyrocketed. I knew it was up, but I had no idea we were talking about that type of up. So when you talk about me thinking about building this building for $450,000, add 70% to the figure, and that's where you are. So what do I think the end game is here? Make all the cuts that I can, have it rebid. If I can't find, or if there's not somebody who steps forward with between $500,000 and $600,000, I'm going to fail in getting this project accomplished. That's the bottom line.
Don, probably none of this will work, but with the state and federal money that's maybe coming in, is there any possibility that any of that, I mean, who knows, but is it possible to, do you know people that could do some research on some of this? I know it's for existing businesses already, and it might not, this probably wouldn't qualify, but I wonder about some of that.
Well, Sue Richardson has been looking into that, and she has found one grant, but it is insignificant.
Sure.
Yeah. I mean, even if we got it, it is not even close to what we need.
Right. Since the county is a government entity, they probably wouldn't, and probably any contractor wouldn't want to subcontract the county to do dirt work anyway, right? I mean, if that were the case, then Wade would be bonded, or the county would be bonded, but that's probably a lot of red tape and paperwork that also.
Yeah, I don't think the county would want to be in that liability type situation. I don't think that's going to fly.
Yeah.
So I guess my point is that probably what I'm going to do is go forward with the architects to make any changes that I can possibly make to lower the price, have it rebid, and put it out to the public that when this bid comes back in, we have a limited time to say yes or no. And during that limited time, that's yes or no. If we can't raise the $600,000, then I believe I'm obligated to do what I said I was going to do from the very beginning, which was when people gave me money, they said, what if this project does not go? And I was very blunt with them and said, then I'll give the money back. I might have some expenses out of that, but I'll give the money back. So if I can't make this work, if somebody doesn't step forward, I believe at this point in time, if we don't have a major donor or something fall our way real quickly, and between the level of $500,000 and $600,000, then I am not going to succeed at this project.
Don, how long can we possibly wait to try again to possibly give prices a chance to fall back down a little bit?
Well, Matt, I don't know how much they'll fall down very quickly, because my understanding is that most of this has been most of these price hikes have taken place because of the Canadian wood market and how evidently we have lost our connection to have good pricing from them for whatever reason. I don't know all the government problems there or what the scoop is there. And in addition to that, the steel market has done the same thing. And I don't foresee either of those turning around in the next 6 months. I mean, I don't see it. Maybe it'll come down some. But my experience in being in business all those years is when things go up, they don't come down very doggone fast.
Okay.
I would love to have any of your suggestions as to anything that I should be trying to do. I'm willing to do it. I just don't know what to do other than get with the architect and take out the knife and even cut it worse than we have, and know that that's as good as I can do. And I don't know what you guys' answer is going to be. If I give this money back, you're going to be set with the same problem, and I wasted all this time and not accomplished anything for the pause ladies. I've not solved the problem one iota if I can't get this CNN game.
Don, what was your timeline commitment on getting that money back? How much time do you have left before you have to send that money back, or do you feel that you have until you have to send it back?
The things that, I mean, personally, to people who have given money, I don't think I have a major timeline that I have promised that, you know, by the year 2021, I have to give it back. But I will. One major grant of $34,000 is, we've already spent about a year and 4 months of that. We have up to 3 years before we have to give that back. Actually, they haven't given us the money yet. We have to show receipts for the equipment, and then they give us the money to pay basically 30% of it back to us on all of our equipment. So it's about $100,000 worth of equipment. So there's about there's actually $34,000 at stake there. I don't know. There's probably others that have timelines that are different than that, but it's just a simple matter of most of it is personal. People who have given the money, a majority of that is just personal givings.
So about a year and a half left on the grant.
I know that Greene County has given us 2/3 of the grant that they promised us. They were giving us $67,000 a year. If I can't make this fly, then I'll need to get all that money back to them. So that's, at the present time, I have about $135,000 of their money, and they were scheduled to give me the other 67 coming up the first of this year to make their commitment, which was at $201,000. So they are the largest giver by far, and but I would be committed to give that back to them if we can't get this built.
I guess I frankly I don't see that 6 months is going to be enough time, especially, you know, with a pivot in here that is, you know, unforeseen and stuff like that. I just see that it's going to have to be more time than that, you know, for even a possibility, even for a glimmer of a possibility. I'm still hopeful. I know that, Don, you've been working on this forever, and I'm sure that a lot of the hope has been, you know, knocked out of you, and I can see that too, and I'm very sorry, you know, for that. But I think if, you know, for either donors or for the city to make some decisions, it'll have to be longer than 6 months.
Well, in the last 12 months, the price has gone up 70%.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
I mean, I've been asking for money for 5 years.
Yeah.
if people are going to give the money for this, then I think if they're going to do it, they're going to do it in the next 3 months, or they're not going to do it. And even if it's 6 months, then it's another. I mean, if you raise $100,000, it's already used up in price increases. It's just, I don't see an end game unless somebody steps forward, or I don't see an end game, guys. If I saw an end game, I'd continue, but I don't see an end game here. If we can't find somebody who wants to give a major part of this, or you can figure out how to do $600,000 additional to do this, otherwise you're going to lose, in essence, you'll lose the money that I've raised because I need to give it back.
I know we talked a little bit about the idea of an alternative site that might not require as much dirt work, but even if that money were to be saved, it's not going to come close, is it, to making that much of a difference?
Yeah, that's the problem, Matt, because, okay, suppose we save $77,000 worth of dirt work and $10,000 worth of sewer and water because it's closer. Then we've saved $80,000. Okay, that's great. So take $600,000 and subtract $80,000, you still need $520,000. And the biggest problem that I see with that is, if you really get right down to it, there was as many people excited about the animal park as there was about the animal shelter. And all those people, a lot of those people that gave money for this wanted the animal shelter. And they wanted another 50% wanted the animal park because they wanted to use it.
Yeah.
If you move it to a different location, there's very few locations, and you would lose probably your animal park.
So I agree with that component, because I've heard from a lot of people the last couple of years about the enthusiasm for the animal park, for the dog park component of it. If it gets to the point where you feel like it's time to return money, would you be interested in still being a part of this to explore ideas for an alternative spot for a dog park, and then therefore asking any of those folks if they'd be interested in their contributions going to the dog park?
Yeah, that's not a problem. I'm sure when I call them back and say I'm going to be returning your money, we have another place that we're going to do an animal park, but not the shelter. But that doesn't solve your problem. That's just an amenity. I mean, you haven't solved the animal shelter problem.
Right.
You know, a lot of this is driven because we have to build the building to the specs that the state requires us to do. And I come back to that because I just given an easy example, a couple easy examples. The room that has the kennels in it has to be waterproof up 48 inches in the room. Any outlet, light fixture, or receptacle has to be explosion proof in that room. That's just a couple regulations among the many, 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 including, for example, we had to put a drinking fountain in this building because the city's going to own it. I have to meet all the energy efficiency for the building because the city's going to own it. It's great for you because you're going to have a super energy efficient building. It's not so good for me because I got to raise the extra money to meet all those regulations.
Okay. I get on that note then, is there, just talking hypotheticals, do you have a ballpark idea of what those things you just referred to, how much expense that adds to your budget? Some of those things you
really
may not have.
It doesn't make too much difference because you have to meet that to have an animal shelter. I mean, the inspector comes in and says, that wall's got to be waterproof 48 inches high. If it isn't now, you got to do it.
Was there anything that has to be done extra being that it's the city building, that wouldn't be if it was owned privately? I mean, is there a huge chunk of money?
I think it probably adds, I'm guessing about $150,000 to the project. If I had to add everything I think I know about, I think it probably, for example, you have to put fire alarms in the building. You have to have a drinking fountain that's AD, that's, you know, all those regs about, that you have to meet for incline of whatever this concrete is to get to the building, and all that, all those regulations that have to be met. I think it probably adds $150,000 to the building.
Gotcha.
All right, any other questions or comments?
Any suggestions for what I should be doing?
I would like to, I haven't heard anything, this isn't from you, Don, but this is, you know, from the community. And I know the press has reported on this. I guess, you know, I would like to hear more from the community as to what they would like the city to do. I don't know if the city can come up with $600,000, but, you know, I'd like to hear something from community people on their feelings on this.
Do you want to have them, do you want to put a question on the city's website to have people comment? Would that be helpful so that you know? Does the city?
Sure. I mean, you know, sometimes with those things, that's really easy to type something in. I mean, I would like to, you know, have conversations with people if they feel strongly one way or the other, to be honest. Is this something, this is, I feel this is a necessity at some point. Now is actually the necessity time. But what, you know, what is the will of the community too, you know?
So what do you think a solution is here?
I'm not sure. I've talked with some of the other city council people about what the city could contribute, but I don't think it could be, I don't know. I guess we'll have to have more of those conversations.
Well, I think it's probably time to discuss it. Because if I give all this money back, somehow you're going to have a facility somewhere. I mean, you're going to put a sewer plant right where this animal facility is now.
Right.
Somewhere.
And I think as it's been reported, it's probably at any point the current animal shelter might not pass whatever it needs to pass.
Well, when I talked to the inspector, and she's a very nice lady, and I met her at the animal facility that we presently have, and she said, you're raising money to put a new facility in, is that correct? And I said, yes. Okay. And the implication was in her voice, okay, then I'll pass you this time. She didn't say that.
Right.
But that was the indication in her voice was, okay, if you're raising money and you're going to have a new facility, then I'll work with you.
Right.
All right, well, we'll have some more discussion. And anybody else got any other comments?
Dave, is there anything you think I need to be doing?
I think we're doing about what we can. I think we've got some other possibilities that we could explore, but I don't know that we're ready to jump right into those just yet. Give us a little time on this end and we'll see what's going to shake out.
Okay.
All right. Thank you, Don.
Thank you all.
Yep. All right. Anybody else for open forum? Haven't seen none. I'll move on to consent items. And we do have a change on pay estimate number 5 on D. The number should be $213,226.33.
I'll make a motion, we approve consent items.
Second.
Aaron Holtz,
Aye.
Jackson,
Aye.
Sloan,
Aye.
Weetrick,
Aye.
Zamalik,
Aye.
New business. Item A, consider third reading of ordinance providing for commercial cardboard collection fees.
I haven't heard anything. I'm wondering if City Hall has heard anything. I'd move to approve the third reading of that ordinance.
Second.
Jackson,
Aye.
Sloan,
Aye.
Weetrick,
Aye.
Zamalik,
Aye.
Aaron Holtz.
Aye.
Item B, consider,
I think we'll need, ask Bob, don't we need to adopt it?
Bob, do we need to make a motion to adopt that?
Just a third reading. I mean, you did it over 3 meetings, just the passage of the third automatically does.
Very good.
Item B, consider approval of union contract.
Well, before you is, this has been somewhat a long but short process in the same thing. We started this in September when the council directed staff to open up the contract negotiations. Work with the union. I want to thank Jason back there represented with the union. Skeeter Hostetler was also in the union. So was Dewey Onken and their representative. Jack Lipovec and myself with the city, and also the mayor. As typical, we went through the contract. Went back and forth some where the city realized that wages definitely needed to be addressed, and that is the main crux of this proposed 5.5-year contract, which would start at the beginning of next year. Just some of the highlights of it on the police end. Starting January 1st of 2021 would be a $2,500 increase. On the 1st of July 2021 would be a 4.5% increase, and then a 4.25% increase on the 1 year later, and another 4.25% increase a year after that. The contract is set up that in the final 2 years that the wages would be negotiable. That was on the police side. All others, non-police, would be 4.5% increase at the beginning of the year, followed by, I believe, a 4% increase July 1st of 2021, and the next year 3%, and the following year another 3%. That's and same thing. We'll also be putting reviewing the wages after the first 3 years in this 5-year contract. Otherwise, the language stays the same throughout the contract other than the wages. I believe the union already has ratified the contract, so tonight would be more of a motion on the city end of it to approve it. Would you like to say anything else, Eric? You were part of the committee.
No, that covers it pretty well. This was something that I know a number of the city council people that weren't involved as adamantly as some of the union negotiators and the like, but this is one that got a lot of thought and a lot of overview by every council member that I'm aware of. And I made the comment today that I'm glad we are where we are. As Mike indicated, yeah, starting this thing on January 1 and then another bump in July, I think, I would hope as a city council person that this sends a really strong message to our city groups out there that we all took this extremely seriously and did the very best we thought we could with the resources that are available, and hope that's the feeling across the board with our union employees, because they provide a service that, quite frankly, for all of those departments, that I think is unsurpassed. So they deserve it, and what I would say is I feel like the city council did everything they could do to make this happen too. So Pat might have some other comments on that.
Well, you guys covered it.
In case I did acknowledge her too, is Melissa Speed, who's their union representative. She worked with us extremely well. It was a good team effort on both sides. I think it's a very, very good ending.
I'll make a motion, we consider union contract.
Second.
Sloan,
Aye.
Weetrick,
Aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aaron Holtz,
Aye.
Jackson,
Aye.
Item C. Yep.
Has the union approved the contract also?
Yeah.
Thank you.
They've already ratified it. They've ratified it before it came back to us.
Item C, consideration of approval to hire water plant operator. And Dave?
I'm here. All right. We interviewed for water plant superintendent this week, and the committee of Harry and Mike and Roxanne and myself and Michael Silbaugh. And we'd like to recommend that the city council approve hiring Marty Murphy effective December 29th at $62,000 a year.
Is he the guy that was here earlier?
2016 he left.
Got a little background on Marty. The question came up, he worked for the city at one time down the water plant. He is a grade 3 operator. That's a good find to have right now, somebody who's ready to go. And later on, we'll be talking about the agreement with Bolton Mink in case we couldn't have found a grade 3.
Plus, he's currently with, his past few years, he's been with the water plant up in Fort Dodge.
Yes, he
So
has.
this has been what he's been doing.
We're fortunate he's familiar with our plant, so he can step in.
Marty has a grade 1 distribution, and our water plant requires a grade 2 distribution. He will need to make arrangements with the DNR and test for that, but he should be able to do that very easily with his experience in the first month. One of the considerations we had is to have a grade 3 operator in the plant. The Bolton Mink's contract was, they'll cover us and we're grateful for that, but there is some expense to that. Marty will be able to step in and within a month be able to, his license will be up to date and he will be able to run that plant for us.
I'd move to approve that hire.
I'll second. Weetrick.
Zamalik,
Aye.
Aaron Holtz,
Aye.
Sloan,
Aye.
Jackson,
Aye.
and Weetrick.
Aye.
All right, now I'd like to give the floor to Mike.
Tom? We got to recognize you here a little bit. Will Tom be in the camera over here? All right. You might as well come on up, Tom. Get your... Tom Schilling has been with the city for 20 years, a little over 20 years. He's been our grade 3 operator. He got his grade 3 in 2008, and I remember how many times did you have to sit for that? I remember
I took it about 3 times.
You talk about perseverance. He'd keep going down there and taking the test and got his grade 3. And when we had a grade 3, but he just stuck it out and kept doing that. So some great years, Tom. Really appreciate everything you've done. So
Well,
thank you.
I thank you guys all for the opportunity to work for the city and past councils and past mayors and everybody else down in City Hall and the other workers that I've worked with. And I appreciate also the opportunity to do this. And I hope you guys remember the water plant's 1995, 96, and we're having more and more problems with it. And also the water mains out there are not getting any younger either. So I hope that you guys keep that in mind, that replacement needs to be, all cities are going through this kind of stuff. We're not the only one. But also I recognize my wife for 20 years and some to putting up with the alarms and the phone calls and saying, well, how long is it going to take? And I says, I'd like to tell you, but don't know. But all city workers in the front line have to deal with that kind of stuff, so they don't realize they're home wondering what's going on, you know. So I'd just like to thank her for putting up with it. So then thank you so much again.
Well, thank you, Tom. You certainly deserve it. Will we able to find you anymore?
Probably.
Thank you, Tom.
Thank you, Tom.
Thank you.
Thank you, Tom, and your family for giving you up.
All right. Item D, consider approval of engagement letter with Piper Sandler for financial services.
I'm talking, this is way too much. In your packet is a letter of engagement from Piper Sandler. That's Tim Oswald's company. They made some mention that to issue some bonds, upcoming bonds for the downtown and to refinance some existing bonds we have. This just sets the terms for it. I believe it's $12,500 is the minimum, or not to exceed, I should say, and then 1% of the gross. But this is something we do as regular business whenever we're going to issue bonds.
I'd move we approve that engagement letter.
I'll second.
Samalik?
Aye.
Jackson?
Aye.
Weetrick?
Aye.
Sloan?
Aye.
Aaronholtz?
Aye.
Item E, consider approval of resolution approving 5-year capital improvement plan and match funding for the airport improvement project.
Yeah, so this is an annual exercise that we go through with the airport. Basically what it does is lay out what projects the airport feels are priorities for them, estimated amounts, and it basically notifies the FAA and the state of potential funding that will be needed for it. We've done this the last several years now. You can see on the list, the 100 by 100 hangar is their top priority. We have gone on where we have split the site work for the hangar and the hangar itself into 2 different projects just for some funding issues, and then also a fueling system and a new vault and electrical equipment. The copy you have the first 2 items as fiscal year 2022. And then the third item is 2023 for the first 2, and then 2024 and 2025. That was revised yesterday after a discussion with the council or the airport commission. And we have moved that up so that the first two items are in fiscal year 2022, and then the fueling system in 2023, and the new vault and electrical system is still in 2025. Basically, the reason for that change is with the airport receives entitlement funds every year. They can build those funds up for a total of 4 years to get 600,000, and then they have to expend some of those funds or they lose them. We haven't got a clear answer from the FAA on whether or not this existing runway extension project that was 100% funded by the FAA is going to be taking some of those entitlement funds or not, if they're considering it the same pot of money or different pots of money. So we've stepped things up under the assumption of they're not going to take these airport's entitlement funds, so we will have that 600,000 available sooner, and so that we can move forward with the hangar a year earlier than what we had originally had. This is not a commitment to do anything. It is basically, like I said, just a notification to the FAA that this is what's on their list and this is what they're working towards. If it does move to an individual project, then there would be the grant agreements and things of that nature, like you've seen with the road relocation project and the runway extension project. So, are there any questions?
Jim, if that full 600,000 is available, did you say when you'd plan to start building the hangar then?
It would probably be where they would go into design mid to end of next year, and then it would be built the following year, that fiscal 2022. The exact timing has not been determined.
Okay. I'd move to approve that 5-year plan.
Second.
Jackson,
Aye.
Sloan,
Aye.
Weitrick,
Aye.
Aaron Holtz,
Aye.
Zamalik.
Aye.
Item F, consider approval of health insurance plan.
Today, well, I should go back up. Every year we look at, we have to renew our health insurance plan. We have a broker that goes out and gets the prices for us, does some comparables. The council received those estimates earlier on. Today, the committee went over some numbers. They met also with our broker, Mr. Brooks. They came back recommending it was to stay with our current plan. Our current plan actually reduces our premium by about 7% from last year. So that's a reduction of about $40,000 that we have in there. So that doesn't happen very often, where we actually get a reduction in our rates. But there's a lot of moving parts involved in that. Appreciate the committee that came together on such a short notice and looked those numbers over. With that, I don't know if there's much more to say other than, for this current plan, it'll be about $500,000 a year for the premiums, just a little shy of it.
And that would be for 31 employees.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'll move to approve.
Second.
Aaron Holtz,
Aye.
Jackson,
Aye.
Sloan,
Aye.
Weitrick,
Aye.
Zamalik.
Aye.
Item G, consider resolution proposing sale of property at 204 East McKinley Street and setting a public hearing.
Oh, yeah, this property on McKinley Street is just one of, I'd say, 6 or 7 properties that the city has that really have a negative value to us. We're just mowing them and pushing snow. And because of the location, this is next to the railroad track, and it is just, it's not a real narrow lot, but it's a little bit narrow, would require a variance to build on. James Hager was interested in the property and offered $2,000, and I told him that we would consider his offer for that, so that's all I have for that.
That's good, thank you.
I'll just mention to proceed with it. I mean, it's a 2-meeting process. You first adopt a resolution proposing to do the deal, and you have to set a public hearing on the proposal. Public hearing would be held at the next meeting. Then at that time, you could take final action approving a sale. So this would be the first step in that process.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Zamalik?
Aye.
Weitrick?
Aye.
Sloan?
Aye.
Jackson?
Aye.
Aaron Holtz?
Aye.
And do we have a date on setting that public hearing?
Would be January.
I came up with January 12, I think.
January 12th, set the public hearing.
2021.
Do we need anything further on that, Bob?
Nope, not now, nope. Actually, I have their earnest deposit. I'll deposit that now, and we'll probably get abstracting going just so that we're ready. And so when it's approved after the next meeting, we can close right away.
Okay, thank you. Item H, consider approval of professional services with Bolton and Mink for water plant interim operator service.
Well, I think, I don't know if Mike or Dave want to add some to this. We started putting this together with the idea that we didn't know if they would be able to hire a grade 3 operator who could step right in and start going right off the bat with the plant operation. So we have an operator in our company that could take over and was going to work with Tom in the interim, get switched over, and then operate it for whatever time was needed until whoever was hired could become an operator. So you'll see at the end, it does say a $57,800. That is just an estimate of what we were trying to figure out for our involvement on a 6-month time period. The crux of the proposal is basically from 0 to 58,000. So whatever time is needed for us to help assist the city in this transition is all you would pay for. It's not a minimum, and it was an estimated maximum. With the fact that they've hired somebody that already has a grade 3, I think Dave even mentioned that there will probably be very little involvement on our part as far as working with the plant operation itself, but there may be some hours put in for the distribution system for a month or so until the new hire can get his license there. We have proposed to do up to 60 hours a month with our interim operator at a reduced fee of $100 per hour. I don't foresee, with only being a distribution side mostly, that we would ever get to that amount. And so that's kind of the gist of why we did it and what we were planning on. We were talking about, some transition, some weekly operation stuff and monthly reporting, all mainly based around plant operation itself. The distribution system isn't as heavy a need compared to that. But I think our operator can assist with the distribution system work in that, 1 month, give or take, transition period as needed. So, do you have any questions, or Dave or Mike want to add anything?
I'd move to approve that professional services contract.
Second.
Weitrick,
Aye.
Sloan,
Aye.
Jackson,
Aye.
Zamalik,
Aye.
Aaron Holtz.
Aye.
Item I, consider resolution accepting completed construction and approving final payment for 100 East State Street roof structure and roof installation project.
Well, as it states, it's the final on this one. It was for $18,683.50. I believe this starts the 30-day period. Is that correct, Bob?
Mike, I couldn't quite hear you. I mean, actually, this is the one where Pete, he certified that everything was actually finished in October. So we're treating the 30-day period as having already started and run. So.
Okay. Very good. That answers the question.
Make that motion.
Anybody have any questions?
I don't believe so.
Okay, Sloan did second.
Yeah, I second.
Okay. Jackson,
Aye.
Zamalik,
Aye.
Sloan,
Aye.
Aaron Holtz,
Aye.
Weitrick.
Aye.
All right, reports. Jim, do you have anything?
Yes, shared use path, East Lincoln Way was with dormant seed for the winter to stabilize it. That should be it for this year. We'll revisit it in the spring to make sure everything still looks good and is holding up. Runway project, the runway extension is still on hold until spring. Arch Alley project is complete except for release of the final payment, and they should be working on installing the arch here very shortly if they haven't already started. Chestnut project is complete, other than the release of final payment, which has already been approved on both of those projects, so nothing there. The 2020 alley improvement project is in the survey and data gathering stage, and the West Lincoln Way corridor study is also in the survey and data gathering stage. Wastewater treatment facility report was submitted to the DNR before the December 1st deadline, and so now we're waiting to hear back from them, and that's all I have.
Thank you. Roxanne?
No report.
Bob?
No report.
Mark, you have anything?
No report, but thank you to the council for the approval tonight. I think it's going to be a huge help with my retention issue, and just wanted to thank you for your work in that.
All right. Jeff?
Last meeting, council approved to hire KG Roofing to replace the roof on City Hall, and they were able to get started on that almost right away, and actually just finished up the last few pieces today. So the roof has been replaced already on that. So I'm glad to get that project done in a really timely manner.
And that was a 100% insurance item too, wasn't it?
Yep, that is completely covered by insurance.
Yep.
Thank you. Dave Moreland, do you have anything?
We continue to work with FEMA regarding the storm and provide them information as they need it. They require for every tree, every stump, they want longitude and latitude, size of the area of the ground that's going to be disturbed, where the dirt's going to come from to go back into it, and so on. So it's been a project. With that being said, Thorpe logging will be moving into Dovendeck Park tomorrow, and then we'll start grinding all that, the trees down there and hauling it off. So that's all I have.
Thank you. All right, Darren?
So Peg Rainey and the Why Not Us, the Angie's Tea Garden people had this week, they included Chad and Mike and I in a conference call. They're getting, I guess, someone that knows how to get property into historic districts, and she had recommended, along with Angie's Tea Garden, that the harness shop and the arcade and those two other buildings across the street also become a historic district. And she sent finally what the price of her fees were, and Angie's Tea Garden was taking on most of that because they had wanted it. They only asked the city for $500 for those fees, and I think it's mostly just an up thing. Mike said that probably that could go in right with the business cost. I know there's always thoughts, I guess I had it too, that when a building becomes part of a historic district, it's a whole lot of things you can't do. That seems like not true. It seems like the upside, especially with state funds, is that with the tax credits, there's so many more things you can do, and it's going to make those properties a lot more attractive to a buyer. So that's a positive thing. Last night, the library had their meeting again, and they invited the mayor, and I was there. I would guess the overall feeling that they always have is dissatisfaction with communication. I'll wear some of that as the council liaison, and not to go into a whole lot of things, but just the smallest and the biggest of things that they want to get done. The smallest, I think, is to transfer that photo kiosk back to the Friends of the Library and let them run it and do all that. And in talking with Mike, I think that that's a done deal. Now, the one thing that Ginny Showman told me is that they would like a short letter of assertion of this from Bob or from someone that this will be transferred. And they said they had talked to you before about that, Bob. Is that your understanding too?
Can you comment? I'm not sure specifically what they're really looking for.
So the Friends had acquired this photo kiosk at one time, and the city has taken ownership, or however you want to say it, and the library and the Friends, I guess, would like that to go back to the Friends of the Library. It's just I think it would be a positive thing. I don't think the city's doing anything wrong about it, but it's just such a small little thing, and it would make them feel better. In any case, the Friends acquired it, and just to give it back to them. And then they'll take care of all of that. The city won't have anything to do with it again.
Okay, well, and I visit with you later, and I'll find out specifically what you're looking for.
Sure. And then the bigger thing was 2 years ago, they had someone come look at the library, and he determined that they are probably half the size of what they need to be for the future. And then he had some recommendations, but they really want to do a feasibility study. They got an estimate that would be $40,000 with the different ideas that were put out there, and then that would be a feasibility study for whatever. They applied for a grant from Greene County that told them that they probably would not sponsor a feasibility study, or they did get turned down for that, but maybe if that ever got accomplished, that they would help them build. You know, there's a whole bunch of ideas. Unfortunately, where the library sits isn't in the most ideal spot, but having that be a Carnegie library, you also don't just want to tear that down and start all over again. Anyway, that's the big thing that they are looking for, not necessarily from the city right away, but of course they would like that too. And then I will, when the mayor makes his comments, I'll let him speak to his feelings on things.
Darren, I have a question going back to your comments about the historic district.
Yes.
I'm wondering, are we using different terminology? I mean, the whole downtown area is in the district. It's just that some buildings are considered contributing, some are non-contributing. So
Yeah, sorry, Bob, that's exactly right.
So they're just trying to change that classification. Okay.
Right. They want to change the classification. Yes.
Okay.
And the, I guess I'm not remembering her name. The consultant they had from Tumwa, this is something she does. She kind of moves through the red tape things in the state to try and smooth those sorts of things out.
Okay. All right.
All right.
All right, thank you. Harry?
No report.
Pat?
Yeah, we had a police committee meeting today. Probably the bigger thing that came out of the committee meeting was we have a taser contract coming up. The committee is going to be asking next council meeting for approval of a new taser contract. We'd be going from 4 tasers to 8 tasers. I guess in my opinion, you know, a police officer needs certain things to do their job, and a taser would be one of those. So Mark can kind of explain it better than I can, but it's kind of an all-inclusive contract. It includes the tasers, a service contract, cartridges, a whole bunch of different things. So it's not like we're going to buy them. It's going to be just, I don't know, a rental contract type thing, and we get them for a 5-year period, and then we do a new contract. So anything, I got all that there? Okay. So we'll be asking for approval of that contract next meeting. So I don't know, Mike, if you need anything else for that at this point.
Copy of the contract.
Okay.
And drop that off.
Okay.
Council will see it.
And I guess I would just like to say to the chief and his officers, thanks to you guys for getting us through a little bit of a rust patch when we had, you know, we were down some officers, and thanks to the SO for helping us out on all that stuff. So, you know, I don't think anybody noticed any services is different in the city. So, you know, thank your team for us, Mark.
We'll do so. Thank you.
Matt?
I don't have a report, but I wanted to use my minute here just to acknowledge all the hard work and great things that happened through this crazy year, and how everybody adapted, and from the fire department and police department with derecho and everything, and all the staffing things that are being worked through. Credit to those folks. To folks at City Hall with filling new roles and doing things there with new staff coming and going, and at the library, working through all the quarantine things, and same with the park and rec department, and golf course, and helping get everything cleaned up, and lining up all the volunteers, and the streets department too, with all that's gone down with derecho and everything that's happened. It's been a heck of a year, and it's been impressive to see how everybody has worked together and put things in place, and let's hope for a good year starting soon with 2021. So that's all I have.
Yeah.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you. Dave?
I have the same sentiment as Matt and Pat. I think our PD and our city guys have done an unbelievable job this year, all things considered. The PD, we got through this union negotiation, and we don't hate each other. I think that's a very good deal for both of us. I'd like to thank everybody at City Hall for keeping us pretty much up to snuff on as much as they could. It's been a difficult one. That's all I have.
Yeah, I agree. What a year. I was part of the library meeting last night, and we're just working on a few things communication-wise, and looking over budget things. It was very informative. Learned a lot. I don't think you're gonna find somebody more dedicated to the library than Jane. She's got a lot of knowledge, and just a few minor things we're gonna work on, and I think we'll be in a good place there. Other than that, I don't really have a report. Mike?
Well, to follow up what you're saying, thank you, everybody out there. It's been quite a year. Let's hope 2021 smooths out a little bit. But in closing this year, Bob, you're still up there, aren't you?
No, yes, I'm here.
Yeah, there you go. To get a full screen of you. Come on back.
I was thinking of escaping.
No, you're not going to escape this one. I want to recognize Bob. He's been here 29 years. This is his last meeting. Bob's been quite a community guy. I know he's involved in a lot of things, but he's always looks out for the city. He just right to the T, looks out for them all the time. Like I say, he's great in the community. We've seen him in action in Kiwanis, the Bell Tower Foundation, he's very active in. We talked earlier, I think one of the biggest highlights I come away from Bob is we talked about the historic district. Bob was the mover and shaker of that. He pointed out the importance of that years ago. We got that established. He found the guy to put it together. The two of us actually went down to Des Moines where they presented it. It's the gift that keeps giving. We wouldn't have all this downtown renovation if it wasn't for that step that Bob had encouraged the council to take. So thank you, Bob, for all the years. Sorry I couldn't work in one more meeting for you this month, but I wish you well in your retirement.
Well, thank you, Mike, and everybody. It's been quite a run. I've enjoyed it most of the time, and I've learned a lot. There's still more to learn, but I don't think there's going to be time to learn it all. So it's time to step aside for somebody else. And I think you've picked a good successor, and I know his heart is here, and I'm sure he'll do well.
Well, thank you, Bob.
Thank you, Bob.
We're finished. Thank you, everyone.